Hello, everyone. My name is Chloe. Welcome to the Sagittarius forecast for 2024. The sun has just moved into Sagittarius about an hour ago at a few minutes to noon Pacific time, November 21st, 2024. I'm so glad you're here. I'm going to be sharing some astrological insight. I'm going to be hopefully inspiring you into 2025. Let's talk about Sagittarius as a season, as an archetype. I'm going to talk about some of the major transits that are impacting us, impacting the collective, and I'm also going to share with you the handful of tarot cards that continued to repeat throughout the rising sign reading. So I do love to record the collective forecast after I've gone through each sign individually, because I can clearly see what themes are coming up again and again and what energy we're being asked to work with. So we'll look at the overall, and then I'll share some key points as well. Um, so Sagittarius as a season, right? Sagittarius is known as like the sign of like luck and abundance and good fortune. They're associated with Jupiter. You have, of course, like expansion and adventure. Sagittarius is very much like the life of the party. They get along with everyone. And culturally, we have like holidays happening during Sagittarius season. We have celebrations, we have gathering, we have shopping, we have eating, lots of socializing, lots of consumption. There are spiritual elements involved as well too. For those who practice or even historically. The most important transit, I would say, at the moment is the Jupiter Mercury opposition. Jupiter is in Gemini, Mercury is in Sagittarius. So, this is what we call a mutual reception, where a planet is in its opposing sign, basically. So, these two planets, Mercury and Jupiter, are in each other's signs, Sagittarius and Gemini. And the axis of Sagittarius and Gemini that's activated by this current opposition is communication, its beliefs, its mindset. It is community, communication, it's divine inspiration. It's like, um, lower mind and higher mind. You have your philosophy, your university, you have your chit chat, newsletters, blogs, like all forms of communication, all forms of sharing information. And in in Gemini, which comes first, we're curious, we are looking at different ideas, new ideas, and then over time we form like our own values, our own beliefs, right? What we know to be true, our higher mind. That is like the Sagittarian realm. So when we have these two working together with their own planets, that's this amazing opportunity or amazing portal we have to reform our beliefs and our values and really be open to new ideas, hopefully better ideas that will, if we take action, support us in living in alignment with our higher selves values, with the beliefs of our higher self, right? We all have a family of origin. We have been influenced by societal norms. And as we go about our lives, we can see sometimes that, some of our beliefs need to evolve. And perhaps tradition, says one thing, but then the actions, say otherwise. And that just, becomes intolerable at a certain point because you can see, what's not working. There is a lot of conversation going on right now, of course, with the major transit of Pluto, the planet of power and transformation, death and rebirth, moving from Capricorn, the sign of structures and tradition, into Aquarius, the sign of humanity, the sign of the future. Um, so I don't think this is necessarily going to be an easy transition for us. However, it is a 20-year cycle. Well, the cycle of Pluto's like, 248 years or something. So like it's a long cycle, but I mean, it spends a long time in each sign, right? Pluto's also very much like a slow burn, so things don't necessarily happen quickly. It's like going to be slowly over time. So we don't need to like rush into interpreting how things are going to go. Um, but what I will say is like, we've already identified, what's not working. Okay, like that's already been exposed. We are on the same page for the most part. Most people feel like, yeah, material conditions could improve. Some people don't see that they could get worse. I believe that they could get worse, but at this point, people are like, yeah, most people should be able to earn a living wage, or you shouldn't have to like, die from preventable diseases, like having access to healthcare and, education and basic human rights and stuff like that. We know what the problems are, what the struggles are. We know who's causing them. We know who's in power. We know why they're causing the problems. Profit, mostly, profit at all costs, as is capitalism. So I don't think that we need to spend much more time, pointing fingers and exposing the truth, like that the systems do not serve us. They, serve the elite, because this has already been exposed. We've already come to terms with this throughout the last Pluto transit, which is Pluto in Capricorn, of course, for the last 16 years. So it's been exposed what needs to be reformed, what needs to be torn down so we can build new. And we're very much ready to go in the creation and the building and the inspiration phase. So all the information about what's wrong, why it's wrong, who's doing it, and why, that's all out there, and that's been discussed. So now it's definitely the time to focus on creating the future. And this is not to bypass. This is not to bypass. It's only to yeah, to inspire you and evoke that creativity and activate this channel that we're all in right now, this Sagittarius Gemini channel with their planets of Mercury and Jupiter that are bringing down these like expansive and progressive and beautiful ideas. So we can allow ourselves, we can open up to the inspiration. Imagine a better world. Okay, it doesn't have to be this way. There are things that we can reform. There are things that need to be completely abolished and built anew, but we don't have to do something that's already been done. Like Aquarius is about innovation, so that's not necessarily like, you know, we don't need to worry as much about reforming as we do like reimagining, right? And with the other outer planets all changing signs next year, Neptune moving from Pisces into Aries, and Uranus moving from Taurus into Gemini. Like these are long-term cycle as well. Like nobody moves as slow as Pluto. That's the longest cycle, but Uranus, Neptune, those are really long cycles as well, at least a decade. So we're going to have these like major cultural shifts, what the status quo is now. Like we don't need to worry about like fitting in and like, oh, the status quo, what if it is actually serving me? It's not. Okay. So taking action and feeling inspired is what's going to be really sporting us and driving us as we move from these outer planets being in earth signs and water signs into air signs and fire signs. And like, yes, obviously there's like concerns with the air and the fire as opposed to the earth and the water, but like we can move past our disillusionment and the illusions and certain ways of being that, I mean, well, they just are the way they are. That very like earth realm set in the ways, earth signs, like this is the structure, I accept it. So we're going to feel inspired and we're going to be motivated, partly because conditions will worsen due to people's unwillingness or inability to, engage. We will be forced to evolve, but also we will feel that drive. We'll feel that inspiration. So I think that is really positive. And one thing that's happening right now is the inspiration is coming through. So I would allow that to happen, embrace that channel of divine activation, that wisdom coming from the cosmos, from the creator, right to you, right to your heart. Don't worry about how everything's going to work out. But if you are in that planning phase and you're feeling like that is where you're at, like please do begin taking actions because we do need people to take action. But right now is like when the inspiration is really starting to hit for a lot of people. So like what a relief because like often some will feel like, well, I don't know how it could be better, or I don't know what could be done, or what can I do because I just know things are not working, but I feel so stuck and I feel so exhausted that I'm not like inspired to, to move through this. So it's a really potent time, a really, really inspirational time. And there are absolutely folks who are already working in community and organization to improve material conditions. These energy waves, these cycles, they do hit the collective at different times. And depending on, who you are, where you are, what your skills and interests are, like there's already movements that you can join. Like you don't necessarily have to create like whole new thing unless of course that's what you're feeling by all means. Collaboration is huge for Pluto and Aquarius. Um, Sagittarius can definitely be a collaborator as well too, especially with, in the intellectual realm. So community and cooperation, of course, that's a huge part of what the Pluto and Aquarius transit is going to mean for us. And this has been something that I've been feeling for a while. I've been sharing for a while. There is no more like, I mean, there's never been a need to like compete with each other individually, like compete with your neighbor, compete with your colleagues. Like that's always been a scam, but it's just, so obvious now. Like everyone knows, everyone can feel like, oh, this is just meant to distract us, to exhaust us. Like I have more in common with other people and of other living creatures than not, right? So let's just let that sink in. We are on the precipice of 2025. The future is coming in. We are creating it. Yes, it's going to be difficult. There will be struggles, but we will feel inspired and we have support from the spirit realm. We have celestial support. We just need to be willing to receive that and move as we feel called to move in alignment with our values, move with what is in integrity for us. And right now, a lot of people are receiving upgrades around their beliefs, around their values. And the mindset is a huge thing too, like believing that we deserve better, that we can do better, that we don't just have to like take it. We are not here right now at this time in history to just like take it. Could you imagine? So I'm going to move into the tarot cards next. These will give you some ideas on how we can be supported in this time. There were a few themes coming up. As I said, there's a few cards that came up again and again. I love to share those with you. And I'm going to talk a bit about the cards that are associated with Sagittarius season. So in the collective reading, we got a lot of knights and pages. So in the court cards, there's knights and pages. There's a knight and a page for each element, the cups, the wands, the pentacles, the swords, and each suit represents a different element, right? Pages are seekers, they are students, they're curious, they're willing to learn, and they have a passion for learning. They know that they might be a little bit inexperienced, maybe a little naive, but the first time you do something, that's the only time it's the first time that you're doing it, right? So like if you start doing the thing, you become more experienced and then you're no longer so new, so naive, right? You start to build that experience, but it begins with that spark, that desire to learn, to understand, to really expand yourself mentally and be open to that sort of thing. The one of the court cards that came up the most as far as the pages and the knights was the page of swords. So this is very much like the pursuit within the intellectual realm, like being open to new ideas. So for me, that really speaks to that like Jupiter Mercury channel that we're in right now. And then the nights are all about going for it. So like the pages are like learning, I'm getting information, I'm getting the details, I'm planning, and then the nights are like I'm going for it. We're taking action. And the night of fire specifically, the Knight of Wands, they're the card that relates to Sagittarius. So leading from the heart, following your passion, being heart-led, going for it, right? So I love that that came up for us. Another card that was fairly reoccurring was the Two of Cups, which is about, it can be relationship, like it relates, it's the minor corresponding card to the Lovers, which we also got a lot. So like that's pretty obvious that these are energies that are going to be coming up for us in Sagittarius season. So both relationship cards have appeared multiple times. So this is like major energy, and this is more like life changing, and then day to day. Day to day stuff comes up in the minor cards. Life changing comes up in the major cards, right? So, lovers, of course, is like romantic relationships, especially in the context of like if you're doing a love reading, but in something like for the collective, it's going to be reconciling like your internal feminine and masculine, or reconciling internal, seemingly oppositional parts, or, of course, it could be like collaborating with people who are not like exactly like you. I mean, they're not the same. One's a brunette and one's a blonde, right? One's a man and one's a woman. What could they possibly have in common, right? And I love this like divine channel coming down. Like that symbolism is just, yeah, just so beautiful for that transit that we're experiencing right now. Um, Another card that we got was the Death card. The Death card, I think, came up at least three times. So let's acknowledge we're just coming off of Scorpio season, and there is still a lot that we're being called to release. Like the inspiration's coming in, but we need to be willing to receive it. We need to have space for that. We need to have that capacity created. So I know this comes up all the time, but we're still in that like, please release what no longer serves. Please release what doesn't serve. Space for new or better needs to be created, right? We're still holding on to old ways of being that are misaligned, old things, old relationships, old jobs, old beliefs. Those are like clogging up the channel for the divine inspiration to come through. So let's just consider like what needs to go. There's maybe a few more things, maybe there's a lot more things, but like I'm talking about hitting the ground running. I'm talking about opportunities. I'm talking about inspiration and spirits like, and also making sure you're always cleaning out the space, right? And this is like the element of spirit are the major arcana cards. So this isn't like I can't say like, relationships or the material realm or the body, like your health and wellness, or your ideas, the mental realm and communication. The major arcana cards relate to the element of spirit. So this is going to include everything. That's why I say it could be jobs, it could be relationships, it could be your things, cluttering, it could be ideas, intrusive thoughts, anything that was coming up in Scorpio season or whatever. I mean, there's certain things like we work our whole lifetime to release, right? Like this isn't necessarily easy work, but it's still important, especially as we're opening this channel, we're calling in the inspiration to really set those intention, perform rituals if that is supportive for you, to really let go of what is not serving us, what is not serving the planet, humanity, what's not serving you as an individual. Let's just let that all go. And the last card that came up again and again and again in the rising sign reading was the Queen of Wands. And the Queen of Wands, she is the witch of the tarot. I mean, the High Priestess as well. There's like definitely a few cards, but of the court cards, Queen of Wands is considered the witch. And she's got like her black cat as well too. In the Star Tarot, the cat has like a star print. She's like a night sky, which is just so beautiful, right? So the Queen of Wands is, of course, ruled by fire. So she is taking action. She is passionate. right? Again, this channel of divine inspiration I'm talking about, but she is going for it like the knight, but that's like the next level. So she's also able to hold space. She's able to hold space for others who are going for it. So again, I'm coming back to like thinking about, like the community building, maintaining relationships, collaboration, taking action in those areas. And that also the people who are called to watch this video, you might be someone who will develop the capacity to hold space for other people who want to take action, for other people who are divinely inspired, and for other people who still have work to do and like in that healing and that releasing and those realms, right? Moon this month will be on December 15th. The full moon, of course, will be in Gemini because they are the sister sign of Sagittarius, where the sun is. The full moon is always in the opposing sign as the sun. That's what creates the full moon as that opposition. So again, we have the Sagittarius Gemini polarity activated, like we do right now with their associated planets, Mercury and Jupiter being in that mutual reception in their sister signs, right? Just going to take a quick look at the chart. Yeah, on the chart of the full moon, there's also a Lilith and Chiron direct opposition, which again is very interesting. We have Lilith in Libra, lots of relationships reforming lately, for sure. I'm sure you've noticed that. And then we have Chiron still in Aries. So these both sort of like more like taboo archetypes in astrology, the Chiron and Lilith, and then we have like in masculine, Aries, like warrior, and then we have like Libra, which is like Venusian and beauty and art and harmony. So again, we have this like opposition with like polarities going on here, I would say. Like both Chiron and Lilith can be very, very healing placements to work with, but they do also bring up trauma and wounding. Like they're associated with trauma and wounds and the taboo, but also like great healing potential. So I think that this is another example of like our invitation to look at what is real, what's actually going on, these imbalances, these oppositional energy, and reconcile them like on the external and then hopefully on the external as well too. There has been a lot coming up for me. Um, Channeling and tuning in to the Pluto in Aquarius transit. I mean, this happened last year. It happened in 2023 in spring. Pluto has been in Aquarius. We have had a lot of that. These events start to unfold. It only like came back into Capricorn for one last fuck you, basically. Um, for for the US election, like there was that one last retrograde, 29 degrees, and then it's like now it's back in Aquarius. But we've been like straddling this Capricorn to Aquarius, Aquarius to Capricorn, Capricorn to Aquarius. Like this has been going on for yeah, for over a year and a half. So it's not like brand new. We've all been feeling this. We've been tuning into it. People have been talking about it. I've been receiving information as well. And we're very much like, again, I'm going to say it's collaboration, it's community building, it's relationships, but there's also like the piece about like the opposition with Leo and the Leo Aquarius axis and what that means, right? Like people born now for the next 20 years are going to have Pluto in Aquarius. And the baby boomer generation, they have their Pluto in Leo. So their life cycle is coming, to an end. They don't necessarily have the biggest role to play in the next 20 years. Like, I mean, it's not good or bad. It's just what it is, right? But this was a baby boom. So these people have had a major, major influence on our society and how the structures work and like how things go, right? And there's like a lot of amazing things about this generation for sure. Um, but Pluto and Leo generation is very different than Pluto and Aquarius. Some would say opposite, as they are opposite signs, right? So Pluto and Leo generation and what they've created and how we are still like in that is this like old paradigm of I'm going to work on myself. I'm going to make myself better. I'm going to be a good person. I'm going to protest the war in Vietnam, for example, among other great things that they've done. And as a good individual, then the collective will therefore be good. Sort of like a trickle down, trickle outward goodness, right? Whereas Pluto in Aquarius is like, I'm going to work on the community. I'm going to make sure there are like, social services, there are amenities that people have access to. Like, I'm going to make the systems and structures that serve society. Um, and that will make me a good person. Like, that will feed back to me. Like, I'm going to take care of the community and make the community good. And then, as a member of that community, I will be served. I will be taken care of rather than I'm going to take care of myself and then my community will be taken care of. Right. So it's like it's the same, but it's also like very, very different. And there is no right or wrong. We're just like looking at the old paradigm, how we live in it, how it's influenced so much, and like moving into the new paradigm and what those differences could be, like the polarity of Leo and Aquarius, right? And Aquarius is a sign of the collective, it's a sign of humanity, it's a sign of social justice, of innovation. So we will have shadows as well that are exposed. And again, I didn't, like I said, I'm not going to make this forecast like all about Pluto and Aquarius, and I'm not going to make it all about, like pointing out what's wrong because like people are well aware like that's not helpful. It's this and this isn't bypassing, this is just people are aware of that. However, I would say people are aware mostly of like the shadows of Capricorn because that's what's been coming up for the last 16 years. So we will be made aware of the shadows of Aquarius as well too, and that's going to be yeah, part of the challenge, what we're going to need to watch out for, right? To be aware of, because that's like the tricky, that's going to be the challenge for the next 20 years with this transit is Aquarian shadows are going to come up and how we're going to yeah, how we're going to move through that. So for now, let the divine inspiration flow through you. Allow yourself to be moved by the Holy Spirit. Okay. And it's not too late to let things go. Beliefs, values, things. There's still a lot coming up that needs to be released. So don't be afraid to let those go, be in that void space, and trust that that divine inspiration will reach you because it is absolutely yeah, absolutely coming. The major card for Sagittarius and for Jupiter are the Wheel of Fortune, which is like cosmic cycles, cosmic realignment, that kind of thing. And then Temperance, which relates to the sign Sagittarius, is going to be like alchemy and transmutation, and balance as well too. So keep keep those in mind as we move through Sagittarius season. And the card for Aquarius in tarot is the Star, which is like hope and illumination. The truth will be illuminated, but we kind of already had an idea anyways. We just maybe weren't ready to deal with it. But we know what the truth is, and we are invited to have the courage to acknowledge the truth and then have hope that we will be divinely inspired and we will collaborate and work together to create the better future for our future generations to come, even if we're not still here, while all of this is coming to fruition, doing the best we can with what we can, while we're here. And the card that corresponds to Pluto in tarot is the Judgment card, and this is about living in alignment with your values. And I mean, with from a religious context, it's like that, final judgment or whatever. I don't know. I'm not religious, but like that reckoning, like at the end of your life. So it's a big deal. It's a big card. Love this card. Big energy. Um, okay, so I really wanted to keep this brief and digestible. If there's anything you would like to share, I would love to receive your comments below. I am hosting a dark moon circle next week, so if you'd like to sign up, there'll be a link for that. We're definitely going to be doing the releasing and healing. It's on a Scorpio dark moon, so very much conducive to that. Love a good dark moon. And I'm also promoting my year ahead astrology reading, The Wheel of Fortune. So you can book that in as well if you're interested. Okay, I will see you soon. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.